Today's video we're going to address a little bit of a beginner's dilemma. We're talking about aviatics a little bit. We did have a video about aviatics and foil earlier on. I'm going to post that little card up there for you guys to click. But what is a beginner going to do with finding foils? And Armstrong just released S1 foils. That means step 1 foils. Your first step. And that kind of made me think, what was actually my first step? What did I start with and how did I progress from there? So before we're going to do that and look at the brand new stuff, we're going to look a little bit about what did I start with. I remember it was by now 3 or almost 4 years ago. Yeah, 2020 pandemic. 4 years ago, and I'm getting this thing here. This is an old 1850 square centimeter. Look at this thing, gargantuous in compared to what people are riding nowadays. But we can't talk about beginner foils without addressing basic aviatics. We're not talking about medium aspects, we're not talking about high aspects, we're talking about low aspect. Look at this thing. What does this cord line tell you? It tells you one thing. It tells you lift. It tells you slow stall speed, and it tells you high payload. Heavier riders, slower riders. What does it also tell you? Looking at the dihedral and particularly at the wingtips, it tells you stability, and that's what we need as beginners. We don't go on high aspect stuff. Those things are like sailplanes. Remember how we talked about cargo planes versus sailplanes? And that's exactly it. We're not learning to fly on sailplanes or on fighter jets. We are learning to fly on low stall speed, stable wings. Look at the old stabilizer. That's one of my old 232 chop shop, if you guys remember that. Once we progressed, we chopped up the ends, but look, same thing with those winglets. That's stability. Dihedral means stability. Now we have a new stabilizer here that's 300 square centimeters. Bigger cord line than the old stabilizer. It has those winglets. The wing is more straight, as you can see, but it's got those winglets and they're more defined. But still, that means stability, because when you are riding through the water, you want to have something on the side, like a little, like almost like something that grabs on a little bit and gives you that extra track. We have here 2 new wings from Armstrong. They're both the same shape. There's a 1250 and there's a 1550. So depending on your weight and abilities, you can consider a 1550 or you start on a 1250. That really depends on what kind of gear, in what kind of wind and other conditions you are riding. For better handling, I'm gonna actually showcase here the 1250. And look at this thing. As far as the shape goes, they looks almost like a little dart. Has tapered edges to the back. It has the dihedral is not as elaborate as the last one that I showed you, the 1850. We look at the profile, and this is the one thing. The profile is important. Unlike all of the high-speed HA and even the downwind foils, this is a rather thick profile. You can feel it right here. It's got some girth here up front, and that's important because that is what creates your initial lift. And this is something that we see in the more new technology, is if you look at the trailing edge, it tapers off quicker than in the old versions. This really starts very thick and it tapers off rather fast, and when you run your fingers across it, you can really feel how these things are tapering off. In compared to that, we're taking the 1850 here and looking at the trailing edge. You don't have that. You on the bottom, if you feel with your fingers here, the bottom just stays flat almost, it feels like. Same thing with the top. The newer generation foils don't do that anymore. The newer generation foils often start thicker and then taper off towards the trailing edge rather quick. Now, I haven't ridden those yet. Hopefully we're gonna go out with those. I really want to try them and see how slow you can go. Conditions to go out at my home beach are actually not very good today. at least not for winging. You can see we have waves. There's guys out surfing, so we're not sailing here today, but who knows. I started foiling actually proning. I didn't even start the wing first. The wing came later, and I would think if you're a proner guy or you want to try subfoiling, I think those wings are equally as good. You don't have to just always think winging. Foiling is more than just winging. We'll take those out and ride them. I'm just not sure if it's going to be today, and if not, then we're going to see you for sure in the next video.